The following is a dramatic reading of a YouTube comment thread debate that I found in the comment section of a Back Alley Philosophy video, one of my favorite channels, by the way. I thought the thread was very amusing, and then I decided to do a dramatic reading of it for some reason. I think it's funny, though, so enjoy.
My social contract and my roads. So, you never use roads? Ever? And you don't believe in the social contract? Yet you depend on the social contract to live? Sigh. Another Ancap trailer park genius, I see.
So, it's okay to force you to buy my expensive, low-nutrition, poisonous food because you need the food anyway?
What the water-soluble flux are you talking about? You need to lay out the Tide Pods. They only look like food. SMH. Also, quit being cheap and buy or make a fursuit.
Am I misreading some sarcasm, or are you really that stupid?
What point is incorrect, madame?
Will you eat the Tide Pods? You have to pay for them anyway.
No, the realm of dumb is Ancap territory. I don't have the guts for that. Just a STEM degree. But yeah, money usually has to pay for stuff. Very good. And what is that money? Why, it's the U.S. government banknotes, standard of the world. And what's this? Not Ancap bucks. Oh, so sad. But why do you think that is?
Facepalms. Do you know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is? Have you ever heard of Bitcoin?
Yes, it applies to self-proclaimed experts like Ancaps and their mistaken beliefs that their ignorance and years of burger-flipping know-how is as valid on any subject as the education of actual experts and scholars who, through testing and achievement, have independently proven their expertise in multiple disciplines.
And never applies to someone who makes retarded arguments like, "You stupid, me smart," XD.
By the way, may I ask you to briefly list your scholarly achievements? I'm sure the fruits of your illustrious career won't take long to list here.
So you never use roads ever? Yes, I do. What is your point? I don't oppose roads. I oppose the monopolization of roads in the hands of government for multiple reasons, such as efficiency and the fact that violent extortion is required to fund it. And you don't believe in the social contract, yet you depend on the social contract to live. The social contract doesn't exist. Nobody asked me if I consent to being taxed. There is no such thing as tacit or implied consent, and there is absolutely no way anyone depends on being extorted to secure their own existence. Why, it's U.S. government banknotes, standard of the world. But why you think that is? Specifically because the U.S. government uses violent coercion to ensure it has monopoly on credit, or at least it had until the advent of cryptocurrency. Would you accept social contract theory if a non-state actor was invoking it to get what they want? If your answer is no, then you have just committed a logical fallacy known as special pleading.
Nice try, but no. Tons of people have such contracts with non-state actors. Depends on that benefit/services they are providing you. There are private islands, and even there you have to follow a social contract. When you sit down at a restaurant without paying first, you are part of a social contract. Try getting an education, my not-so-bright friend. 1. You can build your own roads, T-Todd. There is no such monopoly. presents you with a contract at a restaurant when you sit down and order, yet it's commonly implied that you will pay after eating. That's a social contract, Todd. It's what adults do. 2.5. No one is exploiting you. You can leave. Therefore, you consent to pay your bills if you sit there at Uncle Sam's restaurant and keep eating.
In the case of a restaurant, you voluntarily choose to go to said restaurant for their goods and services. In the case of a state, you're forced at gunpoint to pay for them, whether you wanted those services or not, solely for the pre-crime of being born in a certain geographical location. Nice false equivalent you got there, but try again. Also, get an education is not an argument.
You can leave the state at any time, same as a restaurant.
How does a STEM degree of any kind relate to this? Enlighten my peanut brains, my lord. First off, you just committed yet another logical fallacy, the ergo decido, aka traitorous critic fallacy, when you said, just leave. Second, if you want to leave the state, you have to pay the IRS thousands of dollars and jump through so many goddamn loops that you'd actually have an easier time going through the NFA bureaucracy just to get a suppressor. Just give up already, statist. You lost this argument. Everyone here has completely owned all of your CNN, Fox, MSNBC talking points. 1. You can build your own roads, T-tard. Well, not on public land you can't, but even if you could, the state forces you to pay for their roads anyways. So, to keep in line with your restaurant analogy, imagine if you had 2 different restaurants competing, located on a plot of land owned by the first restaurant. And every time you enter any of the 2 restaurants, which they demand an entry fee, which restaurant do you think will go out of business first? Second, I see you have conveniently ignored the fact that they will force you to pay for their services, but we'll get to that. 2.5. No one is exploiting you. You can leave. I can leave, but I didn't sign up for it. If some guy one morning came knocking on every door in your neighborhood, pointing a gun at everyone and demanding 30% of what they make, your immediate reaction wouldn't be, well, this is perfectly justified. I could simply move to a different neighborhood. Would it?
If you say so, but the reality is you really could just leave randomly, say nothing, pay nothing, and just not come back. For example, you don't have to pay anything to go to Mexico. If you wanted to stay in Mexico and you are already there, you could do that. Nobody is going to hunt you down. Therefore, it is indeed a willing choice you made to be here. Ergo, you really can just leave. Nothing is stopping you, and if you won't leave, that in itself is consent to follow the rules. If you keep showing up to Uncle Sam's restaurant every day by choice, you consent to pay your bill. Even if you complain about the food, you keep choosing to show up and eat. Also, even if you did have to jump through some very cheap and easy hoops requiring no actual effort, it would still be your choice to stay here. You could still leave, but like a homeless person bitching about wanting a house, you would have to put in the work and pay for it. Not doing so would be your choice to fail.
Answer my question. Would you consider you can just move a valid excuse if I came every morning to your door, pointed a gun at you, and demanded 30% of what you have?
Being in Uncle Sam's restaurant is a choice and a privilege, not a right or burden. The guy with a gun would not watch me while I sleep or feed me if I go broke, nor would he nurse me to health if I passed out. So it's not the same as a state actor.
Seriously, have you never heard of ICE? Those fuckers are super fucking zealous about their border enforcement, to the point where any area even remotely near the US-Mexico border is deemed a constitution-free zone. And besides, Mexico has just as much statism, so I fail to see how this proves your point. And if you were to leave the US without informing the state, they'll hunt you down and tell you that you owe them back taxes for the rest of your life. And Uncle Sam is the one with the gun, not the private restaurant owner. Oh, and nice to know that you believe in tacit consent. Edit. And I noticed that you seem to think that universal health care is a good thing. Well, tell that to Alfie Evans. Oh, and people watching you while you sleep is a very, very creepy thing to enjoy. You're evading simple yes or no questions as well as repeating your premise. I didn't ask about what other things the guy with the gun does. I asked you the following. Would you consider you can just move a valid excuse if I came every morning to your door, pointed a gun at you, and demanded 30% of what you have? So will that be a yes or a no? Being in Uncle Sam's restaurant is a choice. Is that so? Does the government ask its citizens whether or not they want to be governed, or when they reach the age of consent? Does the government have any more valid of a claim over them than that guy with a gun would have over you? The guy with the gun would not watch me while I sleep or feed me if I go broke, nor would he nurse me to help if I got passed out. Are you implying that these services cannot be provided voluntarily? That only through the government's force they can be achieved? So it's not the same as a state actor? Links to a Wikipedia article explaining the special pleading fallacy. Whether you get something back or not is irrelevant. Both scenarios are the same, and both of them your property is stolen from you. If I were to rob you of $100 and give you back a moldy sandwich, would that not be theft? Of course it would. Also, living in a certain geographical area does not mean I consent to have my property taken from me.
ICE? You mean the people who uphold the law? Yes, I like 'em brutal. More incentive for invaders to stop breaking the law.
Supporter of state-defined arbitrary line security. Spoken like a true communist. It's not law they uphold. It's just an opinion with a gun that's being upheld. AKA rule of man. And you're seriously gonna try and use the rent/buy paying comparison? Then tell me this, does a landlord have the legitimacy to throw someone into a rape cage just because they were born near his property and didn't pay him every single month because they were born near his property? And before you say it, no, kicking someone off your legitimately owned property and locking someone up in a rape cage are not equivalent in the slightest. Or, how about a utility company? Do they have the right to bust into your house and kill you and/or your dog just because you were one payment late? No, they just shut off your utilities and your credit score starts to go down. By the way, the only person who can delete comments is either the one who left the comment, you, or the one who uploaded the video, and I highly fucking doubt that SO would just delete one of your comments out of the blue, so that kind of narrows it down.
So you are claiming no one ever voted for any of the immigration laws that ICE upholds? Not one person?
Straw man. And SO has constantly proven that voting does not affect what policies get put into place. I know you watch his videos because you keep shilling up all the comment sections. The definition of theft is property taken from someone without their consent. No, amount does not matter. No, being forced to pay for government services is not like paying a bill. In a free market, consent would be required to pay for goods and services.
So, your last argument is the same as, if you don't move out of your house, I will take 50% of your income. It is your choice to stay, which means you gave consent to it. So if I don't move to Liberstad because I dislike the location or anything like that, it means I'm not forced to pay money anymore. Also, gotta love that you call voluntarists retards. Yeah, 'cause wanting to remove coercion is definitely retarded.
Oh, great! Except you have had exactly 0 property taken from you. If amount does not matter, then give me $100 and I'll send you $5 in return. Services rendered, the definition of a bill. You consumed X amount of government services. You owe X in taxes. This is a democracy. You voted for the laws and services and trade for taxes. It's your responsibility. Pretend you're adult and pay your bills. Anywhere you go on this earth, you will have rules to follow, a social contract to abide by. It's called being an adult. If you want to live in a nice, protected place like the U.S., you will have to pay for that protection and peace. And are you claiming Donald Trump is not president? Because I'm pretty fucking sure he's only president because people wanted him to be, and in fact had to fight the Republican Party for it. And the FBI and the CIA and Obama on top of the Dems. His presidency is proof in the affirmative that our popular opinion matters. Oh.
Accepting coercion as being an adult. If that's the case, thank God I am 14. Just because voting is possible does not mean I gave consent. Democracy, the system in which the majority of people control the lives of others. Wow, I feel so represented now that you mention it. I totally don't think it's absolutely fucking insane that people think politicians should control the lives of everyone. It doesn't matter what I vote for. I still will be forced to pay for whatever politicians want. Fuck statism and fuck you.
Okay, that explains a lot. Typical mental age of Ancaps. LMFAO.
Oh, wow. More straw manning. But then, I was expecting that from you. And Trump has shown himself to be nothing but Obama 2.0, who in turn was just Bush 2.0, who in turn was just Clinton 2.0, etc. I also don't understand why you're mentioning popular vote, since Clinton was the one who won the popular vote, which should tell you how shitty democracy truly is. And here you are racking up yet another logical fallacy. This time, you committed the genetic fallacy when you dismissed real Chad XD because of his age.
I can't delete your comment since I'm not the one who posted the video. ICE? You mean the people who uphold the law? Yeah, I like them brutal. More incentive for invaders to stop breaking the law. So, basically, any act is justified as long as the law says so. What about slavery? Did you know that slavery was legal and freeing slaves was a crime? Or that George Washington and his pals were a bunch of outlaws? So you are claiming no one ever voted for any of the immigration laws that ICE upholds? Not one person. Does it matter? If me, you, and a friend of mine have a vote on whether or not we should rob your house, does it make robbing your house any less wrong just because we have a majority over you? Typical mental age of Ancaps. I'm sure that made you feel very superior, but you should know that attacking the character of a person instead of that person's argument speaks way louder about your mental age than it does his.
Let me guess. You're 6.
Okay, this comment right here tells me you literally have nothing to say at this point, and are just saying shit just to say shit.
Since everything I type is being censored anyway, there's no longer a point in responding. I'm just going to play All-Star on my cat's fat belly and have some pizza. Let Ancaps be the fruitless failures they always are.
We all can see your comments bright as day, and all their stupidity and fallacious reasoning. By the way, I mentioned my eggs because I knew you were going to make fun of me for it. You are very predictable.